Yankees in the same series, joining Movan, and I forgot the other one. But I think the other one was David Ortiz, actually. So he really stepped up. He's played for every single team in the AL East, but he seems to have really found a home here in Boston.
Yeah, it's nice to see, and I mean, it's just one of a few moves that has really worked out well, for Dave Dombrowski, and really put him in good favor with the bulk of the fan base. I certainly have not been complaining too much.
And he's also an Alex Cora type player in the sense that he's versatile. You see majority of the Red Sox bench players can play multiple positions. Brock Holt, Blake Swihart, and now Steve Pearce being able to play any outfield position except for center and first base as well. So that versatility really helps in what Cora can do in terms of substitutions late in games, and I just think he's a great addition and a great fit for this Red Sox team, and has really ingratiated himself well in the clubhouse and to the fan base.
Absolutely. My shout-out will go to Nathan Eovaldi, who, as I said in the recap, has made 2 starts so far, pitched 15 scoreless innings, gone extremely deep into games, which is nice because, it gives the bullpen a breather. And as we were going through this, I'm just trying to think back to a mid-season trade that involved a pitcher who just showed up at the start of August and was this dominant. Like, can you guys think of anyone? Because Peavy didn't do it.
You can't use Verlander because Verlander was August 31st. So,
no, I meant for the Red Sox actually specifically. No. Sorry about that.
No, it's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, I can't, off the top of my head, even think of anybody. PV was okay, but not dominant by any means, and then same as Pomeranz. Pomeranz really scuffled for the second half of 2016, so it's just great. I mean, we don't really know where his ceiling truly is and how long he's going to sustain this type of pitching, but he's certainly fun to watch.
The elbow shows up.
Yeah, and I mean, he's this is his first season back from his second Tommy John surgery. I actually looked up his first one, which was actually done all the way back in 2007, which is kind of a relief because he was in high school at that point. And
right.
So that kind of gives me a little bit of faith that arm will hold up at the very least for the rest of this year and probably the next few years as well. So it's been a huge acquisition, and it's going to be fun to see how it pans out. And there's all this talk. I mean, even coming into this game, I saw in Nesson where they're like, well, he might be put in the bullpen too. He could be utilized that way. And I'm like, no, he is starting. And
he could be the number 3.
Yeah,
honestly.
I mean, Sale, we'll get into him in a little bit, but he should be back, and Price is pitching very well. Even I'll admit that. And Porcello pitches well. He pitches well a lot of the time. So, but I still think you have to keep Eovaldi in the back end of the rotation. So that's who I'll shout out. And Ethan talked to me before the show. He goes, "You sure you don't want Porcello? That was such an epic game." I'm like, "Yeah." I mean, he's won a Cy Young.
He just straight like Maddox did.
He did. 86 pitch complete game. It was just one mistake away from throwing a no hitter. I mean,
it's one bad pitch to Andujar.
Exactly, and you can't really pitch much better than he did Friday night.
Something tells me,
my apologies, people that are awake. It was Glavine.
Yeah, that's okay. Just another great Atlanta pitcher. But
Matt pitched a 78 pitch complete game.
oh, did he?
It was one of the two. They were both just surgeons and just out of their minds.
Right. Yeah, that was. I can't believe they only won one World Series in that decade, but they're definitely one of the best rotations ever, really. But with Porcello, though, I feel like it was probably a blessing that he gave up that home run, or a hit, I should say, because if he had to carry that pressure into the 8th inning, something tells me he would have gave up like 5 runs, and then it would have got ugly. I'm just...
Well, I think it's just the negative Terry talk in there, but, but I think there might have well been he might have not been able to sustain it and hold it if he was carrying it into the 9th inning. But I don't think it would have. I don't think Cora would have let it get to that point where he would just totally implode and lose the game.
Well, he
just swept them without using Chris Sale.
Right, exactly.
Starting pitching was phenomenal. Even BJ giving up 4 runs in the first, coming back and pitching phenomenal. Really, the next 4 innings and winding up striking out 11 guys in 15 outs.
Yeah,
but
it was a mediocre BJ, but he stuck it in there, helped the bullpen in terms of not forcing Cora to overextend them like the Yankees had to do. Which, by the way, even though Sabathia wasn't pitching all that well, I was still kind of surprised that he got pulled after 3 innings, because I looked up his final pitch count and he had only thrown like 69 pitches or 67 pitches through 3. So he definitely could have pitched more, and I think
he just looked off.
And I think that's just the case of Aaron Boone not being a good manager. And really, he screwed his bullpen for the rest of the series. And I thought Game 1 really set the tone for the rest of the series with the way that the Red Sox got down early, 4-0 after the first 2 innings. And then the way that they came back, being sparked by that unbelievable slide by Jackie Bradley Jr., which I still can't believe how he got in there without getting tagged. And then just the offensive onslaught in the 4th inning. That really set the tone for the rest of the series, and you could tell it in each and every game after that.
Yeah, and getting back to Porcello, and the notion that Cora wouldn't let it get to it, I mean, he seriously botched, tonight's game, so... And it's going to get swept under the rug, tonight. We'll get to that, I guess, shortly, because I don't want to ruin the rest of the segment.
We can go right into it now, because I know that it's deep.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's let Ethan start the call out, and then we'll get to it.
Yeah.
So we kind of alluded to it earlier, but my call out, and I've been a very avid Alex Cora supporter. I've been given him the benefit of the doubt for a majority of the season because, well, there hasn't been much to criticize with the Red Sox winning 79 games, 45 games over 500, and just swept the Yankees and have a 9.5 game lead in the division. But I think this is the first time where I'm going to be critical of the way that Alex Cora handled the bullpen, in which that bringing in Hembree I thought was a mistake, especially with the runner in scoring position. I know Hembree's inherited runner rate was very good coming into tonight's outing, but to be honest, I have more trust in Matty Backpacks than I do with Heath Hembree, especially in a crunch time situation like that. But even before bringing in Hembree, I thought his first mistake was I think he left Price in for a hit or two long. After that base hit to Gardner, I thought Cora should have gone to the bullpen. And really, a lot of people were questioning bringing Price back out because, I mean, he had a great outing. Really showed that he can pitch against the Yankees. The Yankees don't scare him. or make him nervous or make him poop his pants or whatever. And he put in a gutsy 6-inning shutout effort until the 7th inning. And so, to me, with 93 pitches, I didn't see anything wrong with Cora sending him back out for the 7th. But after he gave up that hit to Garner, I thought he should have pulled the plug. But he didn't. Price walked the next batter, then brought in Hembry, who, by the way, I don't mind him throwing at Robinson, who is trying to bunt. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do as a pitcher. But when it gets to a point when the guy has 2 strikes, let him bunt. I mean, if he bunts it foul, he's out anyway. So you can't walk Robinson, the 9-hitter, in that situation, and that really put him into a bind. And then Bogaerts makes the error, and then the 7th inning unravels. But fortunately, the Red Sox were able to come back in the 9th against Chapman, and that inning ultimately didn't end up to hurt him. But it definitely could have, and probably should have if Chapman doesn't implode.
Yeah.
But it's the world is Chapman, so that's what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, since we're talking about Chapman, I'd rather have, and Terry, you've been critical of Kimbrel recently, I'd rather have Craig Kimbrel pitching in the 9th inning than Aroldis Chapman, especially when it comes to him facing the Red Sox. I know Kimbrel doesn't have to face the Red Sox, but we've seen Chapman poop his pants against the Red Sox on multiple occasions, and even when he does get the save against the Red Sox, it's very taxing on him. He always has to throw upwards of 16, 18, 20 pitches tonight. He threw 39 pitches. So I'd rather have Kimbrel as my closer than Aroldis Chapman. That may be a hot take, or hot bias take, hot homer take, but
yeah, I 100% agree.
I mean,
Chapman in a game like this.
To be honest with you, I mean, I don't know. I don't know which one I really want. I mean,
I'd rather have Tyler, honestly. I'm ready for Thornburg to be the closer next year.
But at the end of the day, one of them pitched very well in the postseason, and one of them choked. Once in a one-game wild card.
One that has a World Series ring.
And then so I still question whether Kimbrel can handle it.
Right.
He did pitch bad in Game 7, but still.
Yeah, he did.
Every now and then with these call-outs, you got to deep dive, right? Because we're gonna have to get obscure every now and then. My guy, you could probably picked 8 guys on this roster, and you probably wouldn't have picked this guy. Brock Holt quietly went 1 for 15 in the series and didn't do really anything extraordinary. Really 4 bad games, didn't do anything defensively that just blew my mind, and he's right where he should be in the order in the 8-hole. So
yeah, you don't like to see that. Luckily it was him doing that and not someone towards the top of the order, but you never like to see
complaining about last week.
Yeah, you never like to see anybody go 1 for 15, and I think that just kind of underscores the fact that Brock Holt really isn't an everyday player. Ideally, he's going to play maybe 110 games a year is optimal for him, and that would. His numbers would be healthy at that rate, I feel like. But we got some injuries. Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of value with guys like that. But unfortunately, we're really thin right now. And we'll get into the injuries in a little bit. My call-out is a little outside the box. My call-out's to umpire Adam Hamari, who doesn't seem to understand that there's such a thing as the greatest rivalry of all time, the Red Sox versus the New York Yankees, and there's going to be a little bit of animosity in the games, and maybe he should kind of pick his battle and just kind of let nature take its course at certain points, because when he gave warnings after the ball that Severino